So there's a big time Hollywood movie coming out. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Thunderbolts Asterisk. And as of recording this video, I have not yet seen this movie. So maybe it sucks, but it looks like it's going to be pretty fun and it's got good reviews. And I love Florence Pugh. So that means something to me. What also means a lot to me is comic book accuracy. And so far, it doesn't seem like this movie gives a shit. And you know what? I'm okay. I'm an adult. I lived through bad comic book movies. I've lived through good, inaccurate comic book movies. I don't really care anymore. But that being said, I still kind of want to pour one out for the original comic book Thunderbolts. So let's set the stage. It's Marvel in the 1990s, and things are about as good as they can ever get. Marvel just sold the best-selling comic book of all time in X-Men #1. And before that, they had sold the best-selling comic book of all time in Spider-Man #1 by Todd McFarlane. The thing about these books, the reasons they're selling is because they have sick ass fucking art. You got Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man, you got Jim Lee on X-Men, you got Eric Larson's on Spider-Man, you got Mark Silvestri, you've got a lot of good people at Marvel, the best ever at Marvel, and that is why these books are selling. But those guys, they get big heads, mostly led by Todd McFarlane, and they leave Marvel. And this is called the Image Revolution, right? Are any comic historians out there, anybody that knows their stuff? Image Comics that we know today, Walking Dead, Invincible, Spawn, is created by these guys after they leave Marvel Comics. Kind of funny I forgot to bring up Rob Liefeld, isn't it? Anyway, these guys forged Image Comics and they're making bank. And you know who is no longer making bank? It's Marvel. They're missing out on that wonderful, oh my God, I cannot even imagine the Jim Lee coin that they were making. But because of this, they run into a wall. They're thinking, what the fuck are we going to do? We got to get people to be reading our comics again. And we don't have the reason that they were reading. We lost Todd. We lost Eric Larson. We lost Jim Lee. We lost Rob Liefeld. We lost everyone. What do we do? And who knocks the door down but Scott Lobdell? Scott Lobdell goes into the X-Men offices. He's got one word on his brain, and that word is Onslaught. I talked about it in my last video. It's kind of the Dark Phoenix or the Charles Xavier character. And what it does, as we know, is it reboots the Marvel continuity. We lose the Avengers, we lose the Fantastic Four, but we keep the 616 universe separate. And we have the X-Men, Spider-Man, Daredevil, all these characters still there, separate universe, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four. Now, with this, there is a void. There's a void left in the 616 Marvel universe, and it is filled by the Thunderbolts. And what's really cool, what I thought was really cool about the Thunderbolts as a concept, as a team in the books, obviously I wasn't alive, but the twist at the end of the issue, right? So we introduced the Thunderbolts in the comic books. They are a new superhero team that is there specifically to fill the void left by the Avengers. Now, the Earth's mightiest heroes no longer exist. This is our next team. This is the next generation of heroes that are going to lead us into this bright future. And what do we find out at the end? They're all supervillains. It is the Masters of Evil pretending to be a new superhero team. And I thought that twist, just in itself, at the end of an issue, right? You're reading Thunderbolts, this new comic you've never seen before. There's never been a Thunderbolts team before. It's a new IP in Marvel. And you're reading the book and you're like, oh my God, this is cool. These guys look cool. Citizen V, that's an interesting outfit. I kind of like the sword he's got. And you flip to the end of the page and you go, oh my God. Oh my God. And you keep reading. As far as the lineup goes, we got Baron Zemo. He was the leader of the Masters of Evil. He's now the leader of the Thunderbolts. He's pretending to be a character named Citizen V. We've got Screaming Mimi, who is an old villain. She becomes Songbird. She kind of becomes, I would say that Songbird is the mascot of the Thunderbolts in the comics. She's one of the characters that lasts the longest. I would say definitely we'll get down the list. There's another character who I think really ends up defining the Thunderbolts as a concept. But we got the Fixer, who becomes a character named Techno. We've got Goliath. It's another fucking Goliath. Sometimes he's a bad guy. He becomes Atlas, the Beetle. Remember Abner, old Spider-Man villain, Abner Jenkins. He becomes Mach 1. He's kind of cool. He's kind of got a fun design. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about him. Moonstone. Now, Moonstone is an old character. Dr. Carla Soffin, she becomes a character named Meteorite. And this is the original Thunderbolts lineup. This is the Masters of Evil lineup that is now the Thunderbolts that they reveal at the end of the first issue. And I think just as it's on its own, as I said before, that's fucking sick. Now, this original Thunderbolts run is written by Kurt Busiek with art by Mark Bagley. So it's an A+ team on this book. And what I think is really cool is the way that Kurt Busiek kind of the relationships between the characters, because a lot of them, barring Zemo, who is, again, let's not forget it, a Nazi. He's a Hydra guy, right? He's a Nazi. Besides him, I would say that a lot of these characters on this team are redeemable, right? You have Screaming Mimi, who I said becomes Songbird. Songbird kind of becomes the heart, I would say, of the Thunderbolt. You got Atlas, who I would say becomes like the kind of teddy bear of the team. I don't know. I don't know how to really describe it. Mach 1, he becomes a nice guy. They start dating at some point. I don't really know where I'm going with this as far as what part of the team they associate with. What I think that Busick does really interestingly with the team is the way that the dynamics are different between every character. So some of these characters, let's say Zemo, is a full-on bastard. He's a bad dude. He's a Nazi. He's a fucking Nazi. So he's not really in it for the good guy glory as much as he's in it just to fuck with the world and take the Avengers spot. He wants to fill that power vacuum. You get another character like Moonstone. Obviously, her name in this is Meteorite. She's a doctor. She's a psychiatrist, so she is wicked smart. And what she's trying to do in the entire book is kind of undermine Zemo's rule. She doesn't really believe in what he's doing, but she's also an evil motherfucker. So she wants to do bad shit. I mean, this is the type of book in the 90s where characters are going to the mall as an issue. You go every month, you pay $1 for the issue, and one of them is just them like playing basketball or whatever. And I love issues like that. I love comics that do that. I love team books. So kind of just this new idea of the Marvel Universe. And again, there is no Avengers, there is no Fantastic Four. These are Earth's mightiest heroes. Seeing the way that the public sees them, the way that they see each other, it's a very interesting dynamic for those initial 12 issues. Early on, I want to say around issue 4 or 5, I'm not remembering correctly exactly which one, but they meet a character named Jolt, who is a superhero teenager. And Jolt is publicly teaming up with the Thunderbolts, but the public loves her so much that they kind of force her to join the team. So Zemo, Citizen V, takes in Jolt, but does not tell her that they are supervillains underneath everything. So there's a character on this team who does not know about the secret of the team, which again is really cool drama, is really cool stuff. It's the type of shit that like only someone like Kurt Busiek, who's been writing Marvel comics forever, would think of. Now, underneath this all, you kind of get this subplot of George Washington Bridge. He is the one who is trying to figure out what the deal with the Thunderbolts is. And around issue 12 is where it gets funny, because around issue 12 is where the Heroes Reborn universe ends. And the comic book characters that are stuck there, the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, rejoin the regular Marvel universe. So now the entire premise of Thunderbolts is moot. The Avengers are back, and they figure out immediately that the Thunderbolts are trash. And I think that the way it's revealed is kind of underwhelming. But what I've always laughed about is the way that Zemo takes it. So they're at a press conference, I'm pretty sure, and George Washington Bridge just busts through the window and screams, "That's Baron Zemo. That's Screaming Mimi. That's the Beetle." He just outs them all. And instead of like saying, "No, you're wrong, you're making that shit up," Zemo just walks off. Zemo's just like, "All right, guys, we're moving. All right, let's move." Like he's just like goes into attack mode. He's like fully like doing a battle plan in his head. He's not like saying that he's not a supervillain. He completely drops the act immediately after one accusation. Now, this is the time in the Thunderbolts comic where it kind of drops off, I feel. This is around issue 12, where the first arc is now complete. But I really think they could have lived in the world where the Avengers and the Fantastic Four did not reappear only after a year of the Thunderbolts having been a book. You could have done a long time, just a really slow burn of the team being fake to the public. I mean, even when the Avengers come back, you could have had them still be this publicly good face. But I feel like they let that down. Either way, I mean, it was 30 fucking years ago and nobody cares. One thing that I do want to mention, it's kind of a small panel, but I think it's really neat. But there's a page where Citizen V, it's after the Thunderbolts have, saved a, they've done fucking whatever. They've teamed up with some superheroes in New York, and they've saved an orphanage, let's say. I don't remember. But there's a panel where Spider-Man and Daredevil are standing next to Citizen V. Spider-Man shaking his hand and says, "It's good to see you again." And I really like the idea. So again, Citizen V, as Zemo's face here, is that he's supposed to be like the Captain America type. He's supposed to be the leader of the Avengers, right? He's the leader of Earth's new mightiest heroes. So he's supposed to be the leader of heroes in the world. But I like the idea that Spider-Man and Daredevil, who now have to fill this void, they're the veterans, They're the ones left behind. The Avengers aren't there. The Fantastic Four aren't there. Spider-Man and Daredevil are the old guard here. And I just think the idea that sets my mind into so many more interesting places that they really could have gone. Like the idea of Spider-Man and Daredevil building an Avengers team, right? In the void of the Avengers. Again, they're the old guard now. They're the veterans. So they could recruit a team of newcomers, or they could recruit a team of street level characters, and now they get promoted. They're the Avengers now, right? This isn't something that will happen obviously until like Bendis joins. But I think that could have been really cool. I think they could have spent way more time, even though it was a mistake to split the Marvel Universe. Obviously, it was a fucking mistake. But I think they could have spent way more time, I guess, in hindsight, in this new split version of the Marvel Universe. So the original Thunderbolts run continues. Obviously, Busiek and Bagley, I think, stay on for 30 something issues. But I don't think it's really the same after those initial 12, where they are fulfilling the promise of it, supervillains pretending to be superheroes. After that, I feel like the Thunderbolts as a team, I mean, they go on for hundreds or, a couple of hundred issues, but I don't think they ever really reach the heights that they had at that point, right? So around the 120s is where you get the Norman Osborn stuff, right? So they move in the Thunderbolts Mountain, and now Norman Osborn, who was the Green Goblin, who's now back alive because the Clone Saga happened, is leading the Thunderbolts. And you still have characters like Moonstone there, but you also get like the Radioactive Man. You get Venom. It's really cool. I really like that. It's like a 10-issue run where it's Warren Ellis and Mike Deodato Jr. on art. And I really like that run. I recently read it. I had not read it before, but there's an iconic image of Green Goblin. A lot of people I don't think know it comes from this, but there it is. It's from this run. It's really good. Now, obviously, spinning out of that Thunderbolts team, spinning out of Secret Invasion, we get the Dark Avengers. Now, the Dark Avengers are kind of a Thunderbolts team. I mean, it's Norman Osborn again, who's now the leader of the world, and he's leading the Dark Avengers, who used to be the Thunderbolts in a lot of cases. So again, Moonstone's there, Venom is there. Now you get Bullseye, you get the Sentry, the Sentry, and you get, who am I missing? Dakin. He's got like two claws right here, and he's Wolverine's son, and there's more. Who are we missing? Someone? Marvel Boy. I think we're missing Marvel Boy. Marvel Boy, Ares, Sentry, Moonstone, Iron Patriot, again, Norman Osborn, Dakin, Wolverine, Hawkeye, who is Bullseye, Spider-Man. This side is Venom. And I think for me, this is an iconic book. This is an iconic run. I heard that when this book was coming out, that it was the best-selling Marvel comic, which is fucking nuts. Norman Osborn was the lead of the best-selling comic book at Marvel at the time. And I mean, this is peak Bendis. This is peak Deodato. I love Mike Deodato's art in this book. I just think that this run is excellent. I think it's special. I think it's really, really some excellent stuff. Now, obviously, Dark Avenger doesn't last that long. You get maybe a year or so. It's not that many issues. That epic collection is the entirety of Dark Avengers, all of it. It's like 16 issues overall. It ends in Siege, and in Siege we get the Siege of Asgard. Norman Osborn is dethroned from his position as king of the world. The Sentry is killed by Thor, and now the Thunderbolts become something different. And this is the part where I started reading Thunderbolts. This is a comic I remember seeing on the stands when it was coming out, when I started reading books, and probably one of the more iconic versions of the Thunderbolts, which is the Red Team. So led by Thunderbolt Ross, finally we're making the connection between this guy's name and the Thunderbolts team. Remember, the Thunderbolts were initially named because Zemo quotes this thing, and the line is that justice is like lightning, where some men should fear it, but all men should. I don't know. I'll put it on the screen right now. It's a good quote, but that's where the Thunderbolts idea comes from: is that they are justice like lightning. They will, they will be justice as a thunderbolt. And in this run, which I forget who's on writing, might be like Gerard Way or something, but it's Steve Dillon on art. Rest in peace, Steve Dillon. And it's the Punisher, Deadpool, Elektra, Red Hulk, Agent Venom, and maybe the leader. And they're all red. They're all wearing red. If they had white logos, now they're red. And I thought at the time that was fucking sick as fuck. I mean, who wouldn't? What 13-year-old kid would not want to read the book with like Venom and the Punisher and Elektra and like the Red Hulk? Like, who would not want to read that? Maybe Ghost Rider too. I don't know. I don't fully remember, but I do remember thinking that was really cool. Now, as I've gotten older, I've actually read this book more so. Like, I probably read the ending of the run when it was coming out, but now I've gone back and I've tried to read the beginning of it. And honestly, like, I might be the only Thunderbolts purist in the world, because I read it and I'm like, this is not my Thunderbolts. Like, I appreciate that they are a cool team of cool motherfuckers, but I like the original idea of the Thunderbolts. I like the villains pretending to be heroes. I thought that was a really fun concept. And so I think once they become kind of this anti-hero squad, once they become the Suicide Squad, pretty much, I kind of lose interest in it. And that's why for a long time, I really wrote off the MCU version of this team already. Like, still have not seen this movie, but when it was announced, when they threw up that picture at first, I was just like, oh, where's Zemo? That was the only thing I thought. Was like, where is Zemo? Zemo is the main character of the Thunderbolts. Where the hell is that guy? And in the comics since Thunderbolts Red, I feel like they've just been the MCU versions. Like, it's just been Winter Soldier, like, adjacent stuff, right? So we had the 2017, I want to say 2017, it was during the Hydra Cap era. That was more a traditional Thunderbolts era that had, I think it had Goliath. I think it had Songbird. I never read that run, actually. I'm sure it's fine. But then we get into the modern new versions of the Thunderbolts where, God, who's on that team? Like, that is an MCU team. You got Val, Yelena, Natasha's there, but she's Venom. You got Winter Soldier. Who else is there? Shang-Chi's on that team. Red Guardian's on that team. That is fully MCU synergy there. That's only 4 issues, though. Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly. I like that run, actually. That's pretty fun. They kill the Red Skull. They fight Doctor Doom. That's a fun one. I do like that run. I don't know. I don't really understand what Marvel's doing with the Thunderbolts in the comics, but I'm excited for the movie. I think the movie's gonna be fun. Still haven't seen it yet, again, of course, but I'm seeing it today. By the time this video comes out, I will have seen this movie and there will be our review out on it. But I don't know. I think the Thunderbolts are cool. I think they're a cool concept. I thought they were a cool concept in the comics. I don't think the movie necessarily looks like it's going to be any bit like the comic book, but I don't think that takes away from the fact that the movie looks cool. And like the way they're marketing it, it's like Marvel made a real movie this time. So yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got for today. This has been, I think, shorter than the last one. The next video I make will be much longer, I think, and it will be DC related, which I think will be fun. So we'll see you guys then. Like, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being a hero. Anything to say, Cleo?